guys, today fitting roof rails to the van. So I've just chopped off 10 centimeters to make this rail 290 centimeters in total length. So this is 41 by 21 mil Unistrut. I've painted it black in some tough paint, and then I'm going to bolt this to the roof in 5 separate areas. I'm undecided whether to basically bend it to follow the curve of the van or go straight. The future problem that I've got is that I also want to attach an awning to the Unistrut. Either I make a bracket now to get the Unistrut flat, or I make a bracket later to account for the gap at the back of the van, if that makes sense. It'll make more sense when I show you. The other thing I've got to do is, once these rails are in, is then have cross beams going across, which will be mounting the solar panels. I've got 2, the other one's coming soon. Victron 175 watt solar panels that will be wired in series. They will be going onto the van vertically, and it just fits. So it doesn't really leave me a huge amount of space to basically cock it up. So let's get them mounted. So to mount these, I'm using these stainless steel M8 35mm bolts, a whole bunch of penny washers and stainless steel nuts. I have got some nylock nuts as well if we need it, but these should be fine. And then I'm going to Sikaflex van underneath the hole, over the hole, between the Unistrut, and then I've also got this neoprene tape which will be going in between each of the bolts all the way along. So there should be 5 bolts, and the neoprene tape will bridge the gap and it'll just protect the metalwork of the van. Right, let's get it installed. So here we are, and this is what I meant by the sloping of the roof. This Unistrut will go there, and yeah, you can see that gap there. I need to make up with some sort of bracket. I think I am decided though, I am going to keep it straight, because I could bend this down and bolt it straight to the roof, but that means then I've got, when I put the awning on the other side, I need to build a bracket this side. I think I'd rather have a bracket there and just keep this bit as straight as possible. It just gives me options. So that means for now we'll be mounting it there, and then 2 more, one at the end, one in the middle. It's actually quite simple, this. I say simple, I've never done it before. But right here, some little stickers, and peel the sticker off, and it's an M10 hole, but I'm going to use M8 bolts, and that's what we're going to mount it through. I just need to make sure that the holes here line up with that. Let's get that done. No pain, no gain. Right, see what I've done here is I've run 2 neoprene strips all the way down the length of the rail. That just helps just protect it against the bodywork. I've also punched through a hole rather than removing the entire sticker, again just to help with waterproofness. Next, I'm going to seal, put a patch of sealant, then a washer, then the rail, then a washer, then the bolt, then a washer and a nut from underneath. Right, I get a bit more sealant in there. You see on this second from last one, I've packed it out with I think 7 additional penny washers. So the only thing I need to do here is build a little bracket, or make a little kind of U-shaped bracket, which I'll do another day. We'll get it fabricated up to bridge that gap. But at least then the rails are nice and flat. On the inside, you can see the bolts have come through, nicely covered in Sika. Probably a bit longer than I needed, but at least I know they'll be solid. So I'm just going to run some more Sikaflex, another washer, maybe 2, and we should be watertight. I'm trying to do this one-handed. So it's been a few days since I stopped recording, mainly because I didn't have any time during the week and it was raining for most of the time. But we are back in the van, and today I'm going to get the solar panels installed. I'm also going to be using this, which is the Scanstrut cable seal for a double cable. This will be going onto the roof, and that will allow us to feed the solar cables, which I have routed here. The plan is to go to the second hole for the roof mounts, and I'll follow that line, and then basically the cables will, I'll punch a hole through there, and the cables will come out or up through and onto the roof of the van, and that will then connect to the solar panels. The reason I'm going for this, the Scanstrut, it's just the best on the market. Yeah, it's probably 4 or 5 times more expensive than the cheapy stuff you can get on Amazon, but I just wanted the best. I only want to do it once, and if I ever need to, you know, change the cables, it's just easy because you only have to pop the cap off and then you can reroute some different cables if I needed to at some point. So the solar panels themselves, I can't remember if I've actually mentioned this, we have got 2, not 1 but 2 Victron 175 watt panels going in. So that's 350 watts of total solar panel power. I've already made the Unistrut cross rails, and then using these brackets and these spring clips. I've got a couple knocking around somewhere. They're just spring nuts, and they sort of just slot in there into the Unistrut and then just bolt straight through. I had to faff around a little bit with drilling some holes, putting some bolts in for all the mounts. I've also wired them up in series, so that will give me the full kind of 350 watts of power, plus it'll be generating, so it doubles the voltage, so it'll be generating 24 volts. That will be going into the solar controller, and then the MPPT will convert that into 12 volts. But it just means I'm getting more power into the solar controller. Obviously the disadvantage, if you know, like series and parallel, if I was to wire them in parallel, then each panel would be independent, which would mean that if let's say there's a bit of shade, then on one panel the other panel would still operate at full 175 watts, but in series, if there's a bit of shade, both panels will be reduced efficiency. But given they're going to be in exactly the same position on the van, I just figured I just want more power, so we're going with that. I could always change that at some point in the future, just by changing the wiring between the 2 panels, but I'll save that for another day. So the job for today: cut a hole in the roof, put the Scanstrut in, mount the solar panels, connect it all up, and test it. Let's do it. So these are Unistrut cross rails ready to go on. I think these are the spring nuts. They're just really simple actually. Literally M8 spring nut. You've got some little teeth in there. You push them in, twist them around, and then they just lock on the inside. And you can slide them up and down into position, and then the next rail can go on, and then bolt it on. And what I'm doing, so I'm using an M8 nut with a spring washer, and then a normal washer. And where these are actually for the solar panel, so I'm using slightly smaller washers. But where I'm doing Unistrut across for the cross rails, or adding this to the cross beams, I'm using just these M8 penny washers just to spread the load. But yeah, that's how I'm bolting it to the roof. That is one cross rail ready to go. Paint scratched a little bit there, not too worried about it, you're never going to see it. So let's get these added to the roof. Right, got both of the cross beams on, and haven't done up these nuts. These ones are solid, we haven't done these ones up, just so I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but pretty much that's 149 centimeters from each end. Now I'm going to do the Scanstrut. So it does come with a little template, but you can use this little waterproof gasket, mark the dots, drill the middle one out. I'm going to use a little metal drill and just punch a hole, and then I'll be using this 20, I think it's a 26mm. It does say 25mm, I haven't got one, 26mm, to cut a hole for the cables to pass through. I'm also going to use a little bit of sicker just to, as almost like a double gasket. So a little bit sicker, particularly on the bolt holes, and probably around this. Before this goes on, I'll pass the cables through, pass them through here, put the little rubber grommets in, put the cap on, and then I have the cables out. I can cut them, put the terminals on, connect them to the solar panel. I'm also going to treat the metal, the bare metal, with some sicker primer. Right there. So I've measured this as well. Note to self in the future, don't put the ceiling up first. I have measured this, and I've got, it's 12 centimeters from a little sticker to there. Now there's a piece of wood around about here. I could probably still do it, but it's just very close to the roof, and it would stop me from feeding the cables through nice and neat. So I'm doing it as close as I can to this rib, but it will still fit quite neatly there. Actually, I'm going to check one thing. Yeah, that just sits on top, so that's fine. So it'll look like that. Happy days. Cut a hole. That's the ceiling, literally right there. But we've got a hole. Now I need to put the 4 screws in, treat it, bond it, feed the cables through, and we should be good. There you go, Scanstrut is in. A little bit of sticker has oozed out, but I'm happy with that. At least I know it's sealed all the way around. Let's see if I can neaten that up. But I've also marked, I don't know if you can see that, but in permanent pen, plus, minus, just so I know which one's which, and we can get them connected up. Just need to put these, I think, what are they called, MC4 terminals? Anyway, they'll connect up and get the solar panels on. Okay, so as you can see, we managed to get the solar panels on. I had to ask Sam, my wife, to come out, leave the kids, help me lift it, which was interesting. I'd definitely recommend probably getting 3 people to lift 2 solar panels at once and get them on the roof. And I'm glad I took it off the rails, because that would have been even heavier. But we got there, and she doesn't like being on camera, so respected that. I've also just double checked, as you can see the sun's come out, perfect day for this. And I've just checked the voltage coming out, the positive and negative from the solar panels. I'm getting 45 volts, which makes sense because the maximum voltage, I've just got to get this right, the maximum voltage capacity or something is like 23, 24 per panel. Open circuit voltage, VOC, is 23.7. So I was getting 45, yeah, it's about right. I think that makes sense, but anyway, I am getting voltage out of these terminals, which means I've just got to connect these, and then, as long as I've got positive and negative the right way around, label them up correctly, I should be able to turn on the circuit breaker in the electric box, and we'll have power. Let's go. Okay, down here at the solar disconnect, just taking the cover off, just to double check that I have got the positive and negative the right way around. So I'm going to stick the negative on there, and the positive on there, and boom, 44 volts. So I reckon we should be good to flick that on. Got the solar controller ready, so let's just open up the Victron app. Okay, turn it off. So got battery voltage, no solar state of input is that. Just double check a slip reset. Yep, smart lithium. Max current is 30 amps. Battery voltage 12 volts. I think let's give this a switch. There's on. We're now recording 44.6 volts. There we go. Look at that. Straight in 120 odd watts, 130 watts. And bulk charging. That's it. Nice and easy install, really. Right, I'm going to let that charge data. Right, let's get the cover on that. I need to fit the other side of this, the rack, on properly, then we'll be good to go. There we go, guys. That is our install for the roof rack made out of Unistrut and the solar panels. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like, please subscribe. There will be more videos coming very soon as we continue on our journey and building our ultimate off-grid adventure van. Thank you very much. Peace out. Boom.